Hello everybody, I am here down in my basement about to get into the car for another PedrozaTravel crazy adventure, and today we are going to go to Santa Ana to see the Bowers Museum, and we're going to check out a cool exhibit. Join me on this journey and let's see what we can see at the Bowers Museum in Santa Ana. I'm here at the Bowers Museum, which is also apparently a restaurant, but with a name like Tangata, I think that's a little bit too fancy for me. Looks like there's some provisions. Looks like I need to wear a mask, maintain social distance, and clean my hands. So that's fine, I can do that. And I have a pre-reserved reservation. So my ticket time is not until 1 o'clock. But they let you into the rest of the museum, so I'm gonna go check out the rest of the exhibits. Looks like an Asian-inspired exhibit over here. The Great Wish. This mural is done by Raul Anguiano. Very Mayan kind of inspired there with the angles, but you have this that looks kind of African over here, so now you have the hairless dog, but then you have some Greek stuff going on there. This is a Nazca headdress ornament. Pounded out metal with, made with gold. So that's pretty amazing there. Gold Nazca headdress from the ancient cultures of Peru before even the Inca. I'm now going into an exhibit regarding gemstone carving, so I'm going to check that out. Pretty interesting here. A jar made out of petrified wood. That's interesting. Lots of apothecary jars used for medicine. Some vases. Organite. Never even heard of that before. Okay, so this gives a whole different meaning to high five. This hand is made out of rutile and is life size. And then you have a foot too. Because after you put your left foot in, you have to take your left foot out, I guess. And here we have a quartz skull that is totally anatomically correct, made out of one piece of quartz there. And according to the exhibit piece that I saw, the mouth does move. It's two pieces, so the mouth is separate, but it opens up. But that is a lot of work. Now an exhibit that has to do with China and Taiwan. That would be on the front of a house in Taiwan. This looks kind of islandish. What does it say? It says a silt drum from China. So this is a drum. I don't know how it's played, but that's a slit drum. Lots of interesting artifacts over here. Lots of music too. I'm now going to go into the Anderson Hughes Gallery, which is Art of the Pacific Islands. So this should be an interesting exhibit to see. A lot of island culture here. Looks like we have some necklaces and some headgear and an amulet. Very interesting. This is cool. This is a necklace made out of the teeth of a sperm whale. I must have taken some courage to get those teeth. Sperm whales are huge. We got some tikis here, like the tiki room, and a sword made with shark's teeth. That's what this is adorned with. All sorts of figures here. We have a tukak, Korowar, who is the communicator. We have some splashboards. some fish, a bowl. I love the artwork on this storage jar here. But over here, look at these tikis. They're huge. They're like at least twice the size as I am. The amount of work it would take to carve that would have been incredible. I'm trying to see what they're made out of. When I get closer to them, it looks like they are made out of lava stone, is what it looks like it's made out of. But they're very big. Lots of different figurines here. This display is talking about how they would use live skulls for their different rituals. Interesting. So these are sort of masks, but they are actually skulls which somebody has decorated over. So it's very interesting. So in order to preserve their loved one, they would take their skull after they had rotted away and then recreate their face again. I like this one because it has so much, they use so much care for it, so much. I love the seashells in it. Interesting way of remembering your dead. And then this over here is a finger cutter, and then when somebody dies you cut your finger to remember them, and as the scab heals, then so supposedly your heart does too. But it'll scab over, so you'll never completely forget them. This exhibit here is talking about the price of a bride and some of the things used to buy a bride. In Papua New Guinea, it is normally forbidden for two people of different villages to marry each other. But to get around that, if there's true love, then a negotiation has to take place. And all of these shells and necklaces are all negotiation tools for when two people of two different villages have to, want to get married. So this right here is a feathered currency roll. If you can look, there's seashells embedded and different valuable beads and whatnot. And the idea is it would be all rolled up into this currency roll, and that could be presented for payment. Other forms of payment and money are, of course, shells and beads and necklaces. Very elaborate headdresses here of all shapes and sizes. You can see how some of them are worn over here in this picture. They're very elaborate, used for many different dances. Very interesting. Reminds me a lot of the Native Americans of the Northwest, who also have mass dances as well. Now going into the Ancient Arts of China exhibit to see what's in there. I'm greeted by some 5,000-year-old pillars and a very intricately designed tusk here, made from ivory and ebony. That is so intricate. Look at all the detail, all the figurines on that. It's pretty amazing. The exhibit is talking about the discovery of the Terracotta Army, which is, of course, the first emperor of China, and his ancient army that was there to protect him. I often wonder what would be inside the emperor's tomb itself, but of course that's closed off. There's a pendant that we can see. And some camel from the Su Tang dynasty, which was from 1581 to 1618. Some terracotta horses here. Very interesting to see what it'd be like. And a huge drum. And some ancient jade bowls. And you'd think that that would be melted there with the grasshopper and the snake, but that is actually carved. And then if you go over here, this was carved out of one piece of jade with the jaguars looking over this cup. It's very amazing the work that was done back then. We are now in a different wing, and we're looking at a Chinese incense burner. Very interesting. Wooden horse. This tapestry is made with silk, cotton, and gold threads. Basically a carved casket in the form of a mythic beast, where the bones of a deceased relative would be protected. Over here we have some interesting models. A female ancestral figure who could be preserved. And this is a funerary figure that she would place so that somebody would always be there at night for the requisite days of a funeral procession. Looks like I'm going back into the Disney exhibit, but that's not what I'm actually doing. I'm actually going over here to the left side, and I'm going to go see an exhibit on Mexico, specifically California bounty and ceramics of Western Mexico is where I'm going now. Walking into the early California exhibit, you can see this beautiful ceiling here. Love the ceiling work. Talking about the early images of early Californians. Don Jose Andres Sepulveda and 3 typical Spanish figures. This exhibit space is called the Faces of Eden. And over here we have Giuseppe Andreoni, one of the early founders of Orange County, known for oranges, orange development. Marguerite, a woman from the Salvation Army, untitled child from the 1900s, the stepdaughter of Elena Vasquez, who we don't know her name, but she's very beautiful. Look at that. A self-portrait of Frank Colburn from 1910. A man in a tuxedo and a violin. I bet whoever he was back in the day was very popular. An American Chinese lady here, entitled A Portrait of Don Bernardo Yorba, the 3rd son of Antonio Yorba, who was important for Orange County history. An up-close view of the ceiling here, and an overall view of the early California exhibit. We'll go down there in a second and see it. But it's just interesting to see it from above. Beautiful woodwork. Here, the artwork on the ceiling is amazing. This is talking about the bells of the mission. It's just so intricate. You got the California grizzly over there, with the settlers finding gold at Sutter's Mill. It's an amazing building. Art of Laguna Beach. can't go on to the balconies, but you can get a little view of the outside area. They of course have orange trees and a nice little patio with the bell. They have a fireplace here, complete with a kamal. Very interesting that they built that here. Over here you can see Pio Pico's two-wheeled carriages. Pio Pico spent most of his life as a shop operator in San Diego, but he was the last Mexican governor of California North, I should say. He owned a lot of the missions, but unfortunately, in 1833, he was ordered to sell those missions and secularize them, and they went into disrepair, but eventually they were saved again, and many were given back to the Catholic Church. Some are in private hands now. We are looking at a picture of a statue of San Antonio de Padua, and some reliquaries here. On the lower part, we were just up there on that balcony, and now we're down here on the lower part. This little exhibit here is giving a good example of the mission system that started the California Mission started in July 1st, 1769, and basically went until 1834 when they were secularized. The last mission was the Sonoma Mission that was created by the Spanish. In 1847, it says here that General Andres Pico surrendered California to the Americans at the Treaty of Canigua in Los Angeles. Outside now, so I don't need to wear a mask. And their Plaza area. And back behind me was those balconies that I had filmed earlier. The grounds here are very beautiful. Amazing different things to see here at the Bowers Museum. I highly recommend it if you get a chance to come out here. They're open up most days, not Monday, so it's Tuesday through Sunday. It's a little bit expensive, but there's a lot to see here at the Bowers Museum. I'm now about to go into the exhibit area, and I can immediately see this Dumbo flying over my head along with his companion mouse.